Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining us this morning to discuss the need to speak with one voice is none other than that very controversial appointment, that has been controversial at times, but has been straight talking all the time, is Mr. Maitri Gunaratne. Good morning to you, Mr.
Morning
Gunaratne.
for us, morning. Nice to come back on the show.
Indeed, it's lovely having you here.
Thanks.
I trust the traffic between Town Hall and here wasn't too much this morning?
Not at all.
No, good.
Actually, the school's on holiday.
Ah, the school's on holiday, yes. Of course, hopefully in a fortnight's time, we're going to bring you a very special event. We're going to report on traffic using a unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. So listen up, at some point we'll give you the details. And of course, when you're using a drone, as it's also called, it's very essential to get your lines of communication clear. It needs to be absolutely one lot of commands that you send the drone, otherwise the drone will go all over the place. And that is actually the topic of our conversation this morning, the need to talk with one voice. Now we see the Daily News is saying that the UNP is stressing the need for one voice on crucial matters, but this has sort of gone beyond them, it appears, because we have at the UNHCR, where they say one thing there and they say another thing to the people here. Why is this? Even the foreign minister is now sort of acknowledging that there will be no foreign judges, but that's not what he said out there. And why couldn't they have written it in to the resolution?
No, for us, in the first instance, to bring in foreign judges, you need a constitutional amendment.
Right.
You just cannot, at your whim and fancy, bring a foreign judge and say you're going to bring foreign judges.
Right.
So first of all, when they even considered this, they should have very clearly told them that if we are going to bring in foreign judges, we need to amend the constitution.
Right.
Right. So they didn't do that.
That could have bought us more time, actually.
It could have, but what they did was at that time, I feel they wanted to accept anything what these people said.
Right.
And they said, okay, we'll try to do that. And then subsequently, they went back and said they cannot do it.
Right.
So I think speaking in one voice should be not preached, it should be practiced.
Yeah.
It should be practiced. And the other thing is, I feel, there are a lot of shortcomings from this present regime.
Yeah.
But one thing is, the independence of the judiciary has slowly set in. It has been set in motion.
Right.
And I feel the judiciary is slowly getting independent, and the need for foreign judges, the cry came in because there was so much of political appointments, the judiciary...
Yes, there was a perception, at least,
that
the judiciary was not
independent.
Yeah.
But now, I think thanks to the former CJ who retired recently, he brought in a lot of independence to the judiciary. And
we had in the past, and we must say this, when lawyers were appearing for Lasanta Wickrematunga's paper, they were all branded as traitors, openly by people in high office.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the name because I'm not specifically certain exactly who said it, but a number of people said it. And it was that even the lawyers appearing for that paper were branded as traitors. And traitors seem to be a sort of a buzzword for people who wanted to put down people with an alternative opinion.
Definitely.
So that, of course, we don't have that now.
No, and the other thing is what anyone, before they accuse a lawyer of appearing for anyone, one thing is even the journalist or the media or the politicians must realize that every individual has the right to be defended by attorney at law.
Yeah.
So, he has to exercise it, and some attorney at law has to appear.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean, if you appear for someone, you're a traitor.
Yeah.
And you don't brand a traitor just because you hold someone else also opinion which is against you.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's a traitor.
Yeah.
So there are people in a society like this.
Yeah.
You can have diverse opinions. So what you need to do is you need to blend all these opinions together.
Indeed. And but the thing is, when we're talking about one voice, this should be applicable across the board.
Oh yes, definitely.
If you looked at the at good governance since the 8th of January, in record time, Rajapaksa went home, the new president was installed, and even in greater record time, a prime minister was installed. There was some consternation whether that was quite ethical and legal,
yes,
because he wasn't sure whether how much of a majority the prime minister enjoyed in the House, and that had to be put. They didn't actually test it; it just went by.
Correct.
It appeared that he had that, and of course he got the help of the president and some people from his previous party.
Yes.
Now the thing is, when we examine this, there are always different voices. On the one, whenever the prime minister speaks, most people say that he makes sense, and he probably does. He may be a political oddity, but he is a man with vast experience, and that's why when we see these things, like for example, if you recall, around the 30th of March 2015, he sent a circular around to all the ministers telling them that unsolicited bids should not be accepted as a matter of policy. And yet, 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks after that, he was part of the process that awarded a contract on one part of the highway to award that to the same company that they had been so critical of when they were in opposition, and said that 90% was corruption, 10% was work, and yet they chose to award it to the same party without any process, no tender process, nothing. And they said they saved so much of money. He said it was 30 billion. It was all nonsense. There was no such thing. They didn't save any money in the end, because they used that funds to give the same company another section.
That's right.
And then it became 22, and it became 8, and God knows at the end of the day what the tally was. And this sort of dual speak, or speaking with a forked tongue, has been, that's just one example.
Definitely.
And the UN is yet another example.
No, even if you take the awarding of the Hambantota port, it's also unsolicited bid. I mean, they tell you to do one thing, to carry it out in one way, and ultimately they take the law to their own hands and they just give it unsolicited. I
did a bit of calculation. If you calculate the amount of money that the government has been promised by the Chinese, $1.2 billion over 99 years, if you break that down at an exchange rate of 150 to the dollar currently, it works out at approximately 5 million rupees per day. Now, I put it to you, Mr. Gunratna, that there are corporates in this country who are engaged in the shipping services, not just one, but a number of them. I'm sure that a consortium of those big boys can get together and certainly pay 5 million a day. And then the money will be remaining here. And the other thing to bear in mind, of course, is that all shipping the currency in shipping is dollars. So it's not a question of rupees and dollars and so on. So I don't know why they rushed off to the Chinese when the economy is in doldrums anyway here. It would have been a good welcome fillip to business here.
No, for us, what you must realize is there is a committee called the Cabinet Economic Subcommittee.
Yes.
Now that committee is above the cabinet.
Yes, this is somebody told me yesterday that this is a cabinet within a cabinet.
That's right. It is above the cabinet.
It's above the cabinet.
It's because now when a matter is put to the cabinet, That is the highest body in this country to decide on a matter of importance to the state. Now, when it's put to the cabinet, what happens is it is slowly maneuvered to the Cabinet Economic Committee.
Right.
So this Cabinet Economic Committee does not have the same composition as of the cabinet.
Yes.
It's not diverse.
No.
It's not diverse.
It composes mainly of people loyal to Mr. Wickremesinghe.
People loyal to the Prime Minister or to the powers that be.
Yeah.
So then what happens is that Cabinet Economic Committee takes a decision. They don't give reasons for their decision. They don't need to give reasons for their decision. Once the decision is taken, it comes back to the cabinet. It is not even vetted by the cabinet again.
Right.
It comes back and it assumes the word cabinet decision.
But this is completely undemocratic.
It is. That is why this government has come into such an embarrassing situation.
So they do these little golden nuggets where they secure for themselves the power.
Oh, definitely. Now, if you take the Hambantota port, which you were just mentioning, right, this is a classic example.
Right.
And I have not heard this. But the talk was from very, very, very reliable sources that you don't even sell vegetables the way you sold the Hambantota port. Right, because they wanted money. And they were calculating how much money they wanted. Who is willing to give this much? Right. One Chinese company came with some 750 million or something.
They said no,
not for you. Anyone over 100 million. It's like a you get an auction, a cattle auction. Something like that. And then someone said, okay, we'll give you 100 and some 200 million. It's yours. I mean, where in the world do you get affairs of state conducted like this?
It's very juvenile. Who is in this cabinet subcommittee?
I'm told that there is Mr. Bhaskar Lingam.
But he's antique, positively ancient.
That's right. Most of them are antique here in this government. Now you take Faraz, tourism. You take tourism. Right. I mean, Mr. John Amaratunga is a very nice person. But you need dynamism in that industry today.
Of course you do.
Right. So you can't run ministries with people who are just on the verge of in their retirement.
All these ministers have got consultants. Why can't they employ, like let's say John Amaratunga, staying on him, why can't he as a minister employ people who can act as MDs and CEOs and carry out the vision that is required?
That is what is required. At least, I mean, no minister for us knows every subject.
Of course not.
Right? So once they are appointed, they are supposed to get masters in that field and get advice and carry that advice, take that advice forward. But unfortunately, we don't see that happening here. We don't see that happening here.
Talking about this cabinet subcommittee, there is Mr. Bhaskar Lingam, then there's who else?
Mr. Charita Ratwatte is there.
Yes, they're all wonderful loyalists to the United National Party, aren't they? But it's how can you move forward? What do you think the other component of we have to remember that this is not a government of the United National Party.
No.
This is a unity government.
That's right.
So what do you think the other component, the SLFP members, make of this cabinet subcommittee?
I mean, they don't accept anything they have. They decide now. For instance, you take the port deal. Minister Arjuna Ranatunga is completely opposed to it.
Correct.
Because he says that it has not even run past by him.
Indeed. And we had a similar sort of dual speak when Minister Kabir Hashim initially was complaining that he'd been left out of the talks even though Sri Lankan Airlines is listed under him.
Precisely.
Now, he said that the cabinet authorized between $75 and $85 million as a settlement on the cancelled A350 order.
Yeah.
But we had the Minister of Finance, the best Minister of Finance in Asia, you'll know.
Yeah, I know that.
Right?
I know that.
Now, he wanted to pay $154 million.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot of money. $79 million is the spread, right? And then 2 or 3 days later, we had Mr. Hashim kind of backtrack and saying that we, as usual, the media, got it wrong.
Got it wrong.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We as our network didn't get it wrong. And I don't know who he was referring to. But nevertheless, in the space of 2 days, he backtracked. Luckily, Mr. Gunaratne, we've still got the executive presidency.
Oh, yes.
Because the president stepped in and wanted it re-looked at. And the president has done the same thing. This Minister of Finance seems to have a penchant for paying off all debts and getting there. Instead of doing all this, and instead of struggling for money with the Hambantota port transaction and so on, wouldn't it have been far better for them to have put a stop to this tragic bond for the 30-year bond, replicated twice in February 2015 and in March 2016? They could have got $13 billion rupees out of that.
No, for us, I mean, I feel this government is going shopping for funds from all over the place. They're trying to sell the family silver.
Yeah.
They're doing all the what you call the bad practices to run this economy. I feel if this government stop the corruption within the government, stop the wastage within the government, we can, I firmly believe, bring in about 75% of our budget deficit only by that. If you take the corruption in various deals, you talk about anything, it runs into billions of rupees.
Correct, yes.
You take our budget deficit, it may be 125, 150 billion rupees. Right? So I can't understand, having promised good governance, why they cannot bring about some kind of transparency in the transactions of government.
But how many times does the president, should the president be stepping in to correct the mistakes?
No, at this rate, the president will have to step into everything, put his finger into everything, and check whether things are happening according to plan.
Yeah.
And in fact, every deal is corrupt.
And there are sort of various links in these places. Now, for example, Charita Ratwata, he's on this economic subcommittee. But doesn't he have a link to Sri Lankan Airlines?
Yeah, his brother is the CEO, I think, at Sri Lankan Airlines.
So this is the whole problem. This whole blessed network. At least the Rajapaksas had their names ended with Rajapaksa. All right, and then their favorite claim was, of course, that the Defence Secretary, everybody else was elected. But then they had lots of relatives in government in various places. And I think one newspaper calculated that at over 130 odd people. Fine. But here, they seem to be doing this surreptitiously, covertly even. And it's not always obvious. This conflict of interest is what went on at the central bank.
No. The point is this for us. The Rajapaksa administration never told that they are not going to bring in their family members and all that.
Yeah.
They came, they brought in their family members.
Yeah.
People gave them another mandate in 2010.
Yeah.
So as far as they were concerned, they felt that people were okay with it.
Yeah.
But whereas this administration, good governance, right? If we came into power by promising good governance, it has to be manifestly seen to be done.
So we need them to deliver good governance.
We need them to deliver good governance. Not only that, our brother, uncle, son-in-law, all those people getting into this is also wrong.
Yeah.
Whether it is done by us or by the Rajapaksas,
Yeah.
the very act of bringing in people or your relations, or if you have vested interest in running the country, that is wrong. Right. That is wrong, whoever does it.
A keen viewer has noted that you're wearing a nice watch. Right. Now, you obviously have no qualms about doing this, because you're a successful person. But you know, we had, in the previous government, we had a chap, one of the Rajapaksas, who was into trouble because all the photographers in the media seemed to photograph his hand. and they did a thing about all the watches they had. Anyway, so hopefully Ravi Lanka from the FCID may now start investigating people's arms.
They're perfectly welcome.
All right. So, but you know, back to this business. This cabinet subcommittee is a real kind of can I call it a mafia sort of thing?
Yeah, but I mean, is
it too much if I say?
No, it's not. I think you're being very conservative in your.
Oh, I've underestimated it.
Underestimated it.
Oh, right. So it is.
It's the biggest. What do you call? It's the biggest obstacle in development and in this good government.
And do you think it's one of the centers, the main cogs, because of that corruption is sustained?
Definitely. That is the root cause of the corruption.
The cabinet
the cabinet appointed subcommittee is the root cause of all the corruption in this country.
Well, you know, that's absolutely marvelous that you're saying this, because that's what most people say, but they're frightened to say it.
No. I will always call a spade a spade.
And that's the only way, really, isn't it? Now then, what about the fact that the Ministry Secretary, Dr. What's his name now? Bhattagoda. Isn't it... What action are they taking against him? He gives the cabinet advice that Swiss Singapore may sue if they don't get this contract. But we have did Dr. Bhattagoda not advise the cabinet on the implications of what the Supreme Court said?
No.
That's a legal opinion.
No, the point is for us, it's actually shocking and disappointing that the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Power, Ajit Parra, being attorney at law, and he has been a practicing lawyer, not just a guy who has just come out and taken his oaths, and practicing lawyer for maybe about 20-22 years. I mean, it is pathetic that he has not seen this situation.
Right.
And he and the minister, both of them, are doing a overtime job in trying to defend Dr. Bhattagoda. Whereas I categorically state that he is a white-collar rogue. Simple as that. Dr. Bhattagoda is a white-collar rogue. I will show it in any forum. Right. And in fact, today, at 1 o'clock, I'm going to the bribery. They wanted to record a statement regarding this incident.
Right.
Where I think one watchdog organization has gone and complained about the coal tender. He, in very simple terms, is a white-collar rogue.
I wonder if Dr. Bhattagoda also advised the Cabinet of Ministers that this company called KLS, which is a hybrid power project, you know, they had a project that was given for them to do up in the former conflict areas, and it's with Malaysian backing. Now, this company, I had a look at it. They're about $22 million US down, and they are not being allowed to carry on. All sorts of obstacles have been placed in their way, and you know, no consideration has been taken into account that these the delays and so on that this company experienced was directly to do with the war. Yes, it is that far back, right? And it is only the efforts of some people whom we know who, because of that, they haven't gone to court Not yet, but they will if the government continues to mistreat them. I don't. When I mean the government, I mean the Ministry of Power and Energy and the Electricity Board.
No, I of course feel for us, the Ministry of Power is purposely what do you call strangling people coming to invest in the power sector. Now, there is a definite need for increase of power every year. There's a natural increase of power every year.
Yes.
So the grid needs to get so much power added every year.
Yeah.
Now, we have no plans in store.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there are people who are coming here with LNG plants.
That's right.
And what they're saying is, okay, we are willing to put up an LNG plant.
Yeah.
We know what you are going to pay for it.
Yeah.
We are willing to give it at that price.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is, do you need to go for any tender procedure for a thing like that? Why does the government have to spend 6 billion to 8 billion rupees, put up their own power plant, run it, and when you know when the government runs something, how much it costs?
Usually more than what the private sector.
Precisely. Right? So, now, this is what this Dr. Batagoda is trying to do. The power minister is trying to do. Now, if you have, now they tell the private sector, okay, if you have solar, if you have a roof, you can fix the solar panels and you can take the benefit.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. So then, why can't that same process apply to a large scale supplier? If Faraz Shaukat Ali has, I mean, as you have, billions of rupees, you can put up your own power, solar power plant.
Indeed.
And you can supply the grid, right? Who is at loss? You are putting it at your own risk. You are giving it at the price the government is willing to buy it. All the power ministry has to do is to fix a station there which will connect it to the grid. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
So I can't understand when there are so much of private people willing to come and do solar, then LNG and wind power, why they can't make it transparent? Why they can't make it transparent? The only reason is because all of these people are under the influence of the diesel mafia. They want to get in diesel power. They want to buy power at exorbitant prices. They want the Sri Lankan power consumer to cough out blood when they are consuming power.
I'm absolutely shocked at this turn of events and the lack of resolve by this government to address this issue, because they seem to be completely blind and immune to all that's going on. They seem to open their eyes only to those whom they favor, and on that score, it's no different from what was going on before they came into power. And they seem to have forgotten what they were shouting themselves hoarse during the time that they were. We have only got a couple of minutes more. And so...
Faraz,
yes.
Faraz, just to add, I mean, we were very strong critics of the previous government, but they took decisions. And when they took decisions, they implemented them. At that stage, there was a huge hue and cry about the Norachole power plant. But the decision was taken and they implemented it. And they brought the power plant into operation with a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
But today, remember, if the Norachole power plant was not being in Sri Lanka, we would have been in darkness. So
absolutely.
They took decisions for us.
Yeah.
Whereas this Batagoda, there was a Sampur power plant, which the government has spent more than maybe ₹1 billion to get the Sampur coal power plant going.
Yeah.
This Dr. Batagoda went and gave an undertaking to the Supreme Court that they are not going to go ahead with the coal power plant. The Minister of Power and Energy did not know it. So that is how powerful Batagoda is.
Shouldn't he be interdicted?
He should be in prison, not interdicted.
Very serious.
What he has done to this country is irreparable. The damage he has done to this country, irreparable damage.
And who's he accountable to?
He has to be accountable to his minister and the cabinet.
Why is he being protected?
That, of course, that is the $1 million question.
Several millions of dollars worth of
questions.
But today, hopefully, you're going to address that issue because you're going to the Bribery Commission later.
Yes.
And you may be able to help them with their inquiries.
No, my statement is supported by a Supreme Court judgment given by none other than the CJ,
right,
where the Chief Justice has said that the Cabinet has been misled. Where the Chief Justice has said that it has shocked the conscience of court. The conduct of public officials with regard to public funds has shocked the conscience of court.
Would you agree with me if I say that the conscience of this nation has been shocked by the actions of this government led by Mr. Wickramasinghe?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Last and final question before we wrap up. Are you forming a new party?
Definitely.
You are?
Yes.
And
we hope to contest the next local government election.
Right. That means you'll have to make another appearance and tell us all about that.
Definitely, I'll do that.
Maitri Gunaratne, thank you very much for being
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Newsline.
I hope I was of use.
Indeed, I think it has shocked enough of people with their conscience, and hopefully all of them will get on behind their computers or their tabs and their telephones and start sending SMSs, emails, letters to their relevant MPs and the ministers and even the Prime Minister, and tell them that you're not happy and that you are aware of what's going on.
Definitely.
And the people need to act, and that is only when the Constitution will be given life.
And each and everyone needs to fight corruption. It's so large
that everybody needs to fight it.
Everybody needs to fight it, because otherwise you become a victim of it.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching Newsline. That's it from us. Have a great day ahead. Do take care, and we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow morning, where we are helping you to stay connected. God bless.
Thank you.